I was sitting in the megawatt having lunch, and I had a particularly busy afternoon, so I was actually just trying to get some quiet time, eating a proper lunch, and I was sitting by myself in the back corner, and it was a really, really violent shaking. It was incredibly frightening and incredibly noisy, and the place had filled with dust and ceiling tiles came down. We went out onto Manchester Street, and it was quite dark because I guess all the dust that was around. And it was pretty a bizarre scene out there. There were cars just stopped where they were. There were buildings down around us. It was quite an extraordinary scene. There were a lot of Orion people out on the road who were very upset. And I thought, wow, this is actually big, and we must be right at the epicentre of a really major quake. I said, let's try and start establishing some communication. So we got some runners together. And I guess I just wanted to get the message out primarily. I knew people would be going to the media. I thought we'd have a really good chance of, if we talked to the media, of getting the message out there that everybody in the Orion building was safe and well, because I knew everybody was in a real state. But I knew that we don't get electricity back onto people without my staff, and without my staff feeling safe, and without my staff being willing to work, and their families being willing to have them work as well. At one stage, John O'Donnell and some of the other key leaders were away in Wellington at an emergency management conference, and he returned. And John is really my real go-to guy. He's the guy who I think really knows who's going to have the best handle on what's happened out there. And he'd been with civil defence people, and he was, after December the 4th, he was like, no, we'll get things back up and going here reasonably quickly, you know. You know, he's got that famous thing within 4 hours or 5 hours of the event. He said we'd get 90% of the city back up by nightfall. And he was right that day. And he said, look, this is weeks and months, Roger, this is really serious, eh? He was grim. He really was grim. So September the 4th, none of our really big important assets had suffered damage. So if you do a roading analogy, none of our freeways had got damaged on September the 4th. None of our big motorways, none of those state highways, but this time, some of our state highways were really seriously damaged. And we knew therefore we had a really big job, and there was just a lot of uncertainty. I had a huge sense of, a massive sense of faith that I had a really good team working for me who were working through the information just as quickly as they could, and that we were going to get there. It was just going to take us a while. We always knew that if we're going to get things back up and going again, it wasn't actually through some of that sort of, you know, generators coming in from overseas. It was always going to be fixing some of our big cables fast. That was going to be our best bang for the buck. And we were extremely good at trying to set what those priorities were.
That's it, is it?
It's the Armor cable, oil filled. This is a 66 kV oil filled cable. These are the special oil ducts that supply oil to keep the moisture out, and also a bit of thermal properties as well. So, and once the oil goes out of the cable, it allows the moisture stuff to come in. So we want to maintain a consistent flow of oil to keep that moisture out. The other cable down the road, the XLPE cable, we've still got faults and stuff on that cable now, so we're still trying to repair that at the moment and source some cable joints from over in Germany. So the guys now are just preparing the cables for welding. After they've welded the cables together, they then install layers of insulation, paper insulation around each of the conductors. After that's completed, a steel can is then positioned over the actual conductors themselves, and each of the ends are white. This allows the oil to migrate into the papers. Then basically what happens from there is they actually install a coffin, which is then filled with resin, and then it's basically the completion of the joint.
And from that Wednesday morning, we knew some of our key assets into that eastern part of Christchurch were damaged, you know, especially 4 of our big underground cables. We were designing this overhead line to run into that area. So from Wednesday morning, we were designing that overhead line. We just printed out an aerial photograph, an A1 size aerial photograph of the area, and the detailed design was being done, and we decided we needed a resource consent to do it, and we could get that signed off by the Civil Defence Controller. So I just drove on Biro what the line route was. So like, where's the Civil Defence Controller, John Hamilton, right now? And they said, well, he's down at headquarters down at the art gallery. So I think I just got my drawing, rolled up, got on my bike and biked down there. John Hamilton signed it, and I rolled up my drawing again and biked back to Orion. And it was kind of interesting. I came back here to the portacoms we'd put up. And I took it back into the guys and showed them the drawing with the signature, and they were really excited. And that way actually started off with a real thing for me. You just don't assume, you know, my guys, I mean, I never had any doubt that it would be signed off, you know, without any hesitation at all. But these guys, I think, had a little bit of doubt whether they were going to be allowed to do it. And that was an interesting moment. I said, oh, gee, did you guys think it wouldn't happen? But they were really excited, we're going to do it. And we knew we'd be starting to do it the next morning. And we had these plans, you know, contractors were ready to go. We were out there, I think, already chopping down trees, ready for us to start building this line.
As I mentioned before, we've got from Orion Taz to join us, and they've done a pretty outstanding job. Anybody here in this area still without power? Can you hold your hands up? Okay, there's a fair number of you. Well, I think there's positive news coming, so we'll ask Taz to come and join us and give us an update on the Orion situation.
Yeah, well, we started with 80% off, and I think we've got back to about 93% on. There's some big problem areas, these hills and the eastern suburbs. We estimate that about over 400 cable repairs need to be done. It's a matter of locating these cable faults, digging up and repairing. 12 hours roughly each repair. And there are multiple fractures along a cable run typically. So we've got about 13,000 to 14,000 people still without power. Actually largely in the eastern suburbs, Brighton, Aranui, Bexley, that area. We've rolled out portable generators from all around the country, including Australia, and the Air Force have been helping us get generators in from Australia, and there are more coming. We haven't started the CBD really yet, we haven't been allowed in there, but that's a prospect now over this next week. I'm really concerned there about all the buildings that are in really rough shape. A lot of our substation plant are actually located in buildings in the CBD. So it may be that we end up with pockets there which we can't connect up, and that's maybe where we'll put more generators in time. So hang in there, we're making every effort to get those cable repairs done. Thank you very much.
We have plotted a graph out on sim mode, which is arc reflection using high voltage, and the time it takes back from that arc to occur back to here, it measures it. And it gives us a trace here, and we can use the cursor, move to a rise in the waveform, and that gives us a distance to open. And that's at the moment indicating 259.2 meters to the break in the cable. So then we'll send some guys up the hill and we'll measure it, and hopefully if we can get the arc to occur where there's a spark in the cable, we'll actually pick up acoustic sound from it, and then we'll also pinpoint it and the guys will come out, dig it up and repair it.
That's it.
It's a matter of trying to work out which cables are most worthwhile putting the rear left and are going to connect the most customers. But we're hoping tonight in that sort of Dallington, Brighton area to get 3 of those cables live. So we've got 3 of those cables live. That could actually be a, you know, a really significant thing. So the guys are working really hard at that at the moment.
Right now, all I'm doing is going to put the boot on this cable. We're jointing these two cables together. There's a fault in here. And yeah, just trying to get all the faults and get all the power back onto as many people as possible. 45 minutes to get both cables fully connected, and then on top of that, there'll be another crew that will come out here to test it. Number 12, is it? Yeah. 12 in a week.
Due to these buildings are red stickered and are due for demolition, and due to unsafe situations we are unable to get to isolation points. So over this side we need to dig up the cables and cut and insulate so we're able to make these buildings safe for demolition, and then we can repair the network at a later date once the buildings come down.
I think I know. I think I've been there.
Yeah. Jas Street 189.
Yep.
Sweet. 217. Oh, that's in the under a car park. I'm not sure if we'll get in there, but we can have a look.
If it's underground, we might not be able to get in there.
Oh, the building looked alright. Just had no sticker on it, so we're like, nah, we're not going under there.
I might have to talk to management.
Is that red stickered then?
Well, we couldn't get down there because it's a lane. It's down a little lane off
Chris
Boston.
Lane.
Everything's off anyway around here.
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
I don't know.
I'll get confirmation that the HV's already dead on that, but they will tag it so
and that one
for relivening.
Yeah, morning. Hi, my name's Andy Parr from Orion.
Hi, Andy.
Hi. Hi, we've come down to check out the kiosk at the bottom. It's
good news.
Yeah.
Good news, bad news.
I see your fault's gone. The fault's gone straight through, basically. Now I've just had a look in the kiosk itself. It's actually twisted internally, the equipment,
Right.
but the transformer looks fine.
Yep.
So what we're going to try and do is I'm going to get some contractors here to straighten up the what we call an LV panel, the low voltage panel. We've actually got power all the way through up to Roseneath's place now, so this is us.
Yep.
Hopefully if we get a generator on here,
Yep.
we can start getting it right up to the hills. So,
Okay, good stuff. Yep.
so no,
You're getting closer.
yeah, we appreciate your call this morning, and
he was actually ex-one.
okay.
And he rang me back because people say they're going to ring you back and they don't.
No, that's why I've come here.
It's too hard basket stuff, you know. But no, he was very close.
Yep. We've got a neighbour here that I've just touched base with. They live at 48. It's a kind of it's just on the start of the hills here. So again, if you want to, could you touch base with them when you get here? Yeah, well, I think it should be a case of just straightening up the frame, and we should be able to liven it. But yeah, we need to get it here and have a good assessment. We probably need to look at all the bolted connections as well.
Okay, so at the moment we know that all the stuff in the pink is live. G'day Tori, it's Chris White here. I've got an LV tyre to look at in Palmer's Road if you've got a minute to do that.
Are you guys looking to get power back into this area for building,
Yep, we're just working on this area at the moment. I'll just check my map here, and basically from what I can tell, you guys are fed off this overhead line up here. So once we make some tie points down at where the power is on, it'll bring power back onto the building. I'd estimate that to be in a couple of hours.
Oh, that'd be good. We can work again.
No worries. Get into it.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Mate. What we're going to do here is check to see if there's any power on this kiosk, and hopefully there shouldn't be, if all our plans are correct, and then we're going to look at backfeeding the low voltage circuits through other kiosks further down the road that are actually live. And as we can see there, we have power coming into the kiosk and the main bus is live, so we're now going to put some fuses in to liven up the bus and bring some customers back on.
So how long have you been without power?
Since the earthquake.
Since the earthquake. Oh, it's a big moment if this comes back.
It'd be so cool. It'd be great.
Yeah, it's not used to without having power. So it comes on to be like gold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
Have you coped okay?
We have.
We have.
Yep.
Candles work well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he's working on it right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over here. So hopefully it comes back.
It'll be good if he
so
gets
it'll be
It'll be worth shouting him a beer for.
There's cable faults at the high voltage side of that transformer.
Okay, yep.
So we've now refed you from another transformer located across the other side of the Avon over there in
Okay,
Wainoni Road, and it's now carrying back through to this kiosk and getting power into all these places.
Oh, awesome.
No
Awesome
worries.
job. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great news for Christchurch.
I think this business over a long period of time has built a very strong culture that people know what we do, and events like this really matters. It's having good plans, building a really robust network, and having people who know how important it is the most important thing. Having a culture where people know what they do really counts. I mean, it's been an extraordinary event working with these people here and just seeing how dedicated they are. And we've all had highs and lows. You know, you have these lows when things go wrong and where you just get so tired, but you also have highs when, you know, I think some of the guys in the field just had people really genuinely just so thankful for what they've done. And I mean, it's been extraordinary to be in an organisation which in many ways has left people without power for long periods of time, and there've been a lot of people ringing up the contact centre, talking to our staff there, but in general people have been pretty jolly understanding as well, which is good.
Well, today's gone very well. We're almost to our 99% target, excluding the CBD, and our plan is for the rest of the week that we will start to target individual customers. So in the Brighton area, we're down to our last 2,000 customers. We're having them call into the contact centre, and we'll be targeting those individual customers and hope to have the majority of them on by Friday. Fingers crossed, we'll be largely intact by the weekend, and people can have a bit of a break.
You know, just don't assume. People are under a lot of stress out there. In that Brighton area where we, you know, there's roughly 25,000 customers, we're down to like 2,200 we think are off. There's more than 90% of them on. The CBD, the Sumner area, we've gone from nearly 700 off yesterday to like 150 today, so we've made really big progress there. CBD is still the same. In fact, if anything, we're taking customers off as the USAR teams want to go into places, so we haven't made any progress there. The rest of the net we've got about 500 off. So overall it's about 7,500 off. So we're pretty hopeful we're going to make, if you like, that 99% by tonight, 99% plus the CBD.
you.